Babcock, we've done his pen predictions, or his updated ones anyway. We're going to do his championship ones now because there's some all-timer Hall of Fame stinkers in here. I'm not even going to waste your time. We're just going to look at it now. Just dissect that a minute. Luton, right. This could be one of the worst ever. Luton to win league. Coventry third. Sunderland mid-table. There's something else in there that I'm... Oh, wow. I had Sheff United 18th. Sheff United 18th. That would be before they signed all the boys out. Just want to put that right. Blackburn to go down. Okay, let's try and flip it on its head and say some of the good ones. Plymouth last. Quite a good one. Oxford staying up. No, literally nobody had that. Oxford staying up. Hull being quite far down there. They finished 7th last season. So Hull being far down is a good one. Bristol City middle, but that's just a given. Realistically, when you weigh it up, it's that bad. Yeah, it is. But we're back. We're going to do his updated ones. And again, we're at middle of January. I'm recording this on 9th. So there's a lot that could still go on. There might be something happening as I'm recording this video. But the new categories are your relegation side, your side that's going down. So you've got 3 in there. We've got 5 scrapies. I genuinely think there's going to be a shit show down at bottom this season. It'll be a circus. So I've got 5 down there. I've got 4 in mid-table. I've got Bristol City and Bristol City. I've got 5 missing out marginally because Bristol City are a good middle ground out. They're smack it middle all the time. So I've got 5 missing out. Obviously, then your playoffs and your autos. And we'll get the mid-tables out of the way now because I need Bristol City to have a couple mates at middle. So I'm going to have Bristol City at 12th, by the way, just in case that needed saying. 13th, I've got Watford. And then Swansea after that. Watford, I think we're starting to see inconsistencies with them now, especially away from home. Their own form's been consistently brilliant all year. I think they'd drawn 2-1 all rest up until recently. They've lost the last 2. 2-1 at home to Cardiff and Sheff United. But I think defensively, they're letting a fair few in. They look really weak on set pieces. I think defensively, a lot of time, they just look quite slack and weak in general for a bunch of big lads. And overall, I think, apart from that Georgian fella, they've not got any real serious quality. I would say. I don't think that's being harsh. They're just conceding way too many goals to make a push for it. I don't think they'll be close to the playoffs really by the time it's on. And they have sort of been in and around there all season, which have been really, really good. But I do think they will just start sliding down a little bit. Same as Swansea, in fairness. Swansea just destined to be stood next to Bristol City all year most of the time. But recently they've been playing quite good as well. And I think they create a lot of chances depending on who they're playing against. But it's the naivety with Swansea that does made him, because they've always been like this over the last few years when I've watched Swansea. The last few managers that they've had, it's always been dominate possession, play out front back, don't stray away from this. But then when you go into certain grounds, like Portsmouth away, for example, really small, really tight, crowds on top of you, and you're still trying to do it, it's just... Like I said, I think it's just naivety. Off the top of my head, they played Leeds at home, haven't they? So they played Leeds at home and lost 4-3. You can imagine them doing same thing. When you go to Leeds away and it's just stay compact, stay tight and play on counter-attacks. Swansea won't do that. They'll go there and try and play how they always do, and they'll end up coming back with 5-0 slap on your ass. It does annoy me, but that's fair. That is the reason that I think Swansea are just destined to be mid-table until they stray away from something like that. I've got 2 more in here, 15th and 16th. I'll tell you what, just think of your predictions now who you think this is going to be, 15th or 16th. If you could get this, I'll give 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Preston and Millwall. Same again, there's no real change in squads, really, a lot of time. They're always at a consistent level, both of these. Millwall might lose Roman Esse, which could be a massive, massive problem for him. But at the same time, this season's a write-off for him anyway. They're not going to get top 6. I quite like the appointment of Neil, to be fair, because it's very Millwall, innit? But that could be start of some sort of Moneyball system. Do you know what I mean? That could be start of something serious for Millwall, because they've never, although they've always had a really good team in Championship, I think, and it's been more or less top half quality for a long time, they've never really sold anybody for loads and loads of money. They sold Saville for a lot to Middlesbrough, didn't they? But not to the extent of what Esse is going to go if he goes to Palace. He's got a £12 million release clause, to my knowledge. That, spread across a squad properly, could do serious stuff, especially when you've got another massive asset in Tanganga as well. But for this season, I think that's just where they are. Preston, same again. Eke, really good manager for this level. Consistent squad again. Lost the best player to Sunderland in summer in Brown. And I do think they've lacked a striker or a lot of attacking threat for most of the season, but they've still got enough to just be about 14th, you know what I mean, 15th-ish. Next, what shall we do next? Shall we do a couple of missing outs and a couple of scrapies and just narrow it down a little bit? Let's do that. We'll put two or three of the missing outs first. So I've got Wednesday in, that'll be 11th. Coventry in 10th. And it might be a little bit of a shock, but I think I've raved about him enough all season. I've got QPR up in 9th. Wednesday, I had him 7th before season started. I think a lot of people underestimate Danny Rowell and how good he actually is, because he's brought certain players there on massively. He's developed them so much, they're much, much better than when he walked through Dua. The squad as a whole, apart from them odd couple of players that they have got, is absolute dog shit. And the fact that he's got him even in this conversation and not down here at the very most is ridiculous. People, seriously, you need to have a look at that. Just look at the Wednesday team. It's shit. Barring 2 or 3 players, and 2 of the better players are on loan anyway. It's wank. And call me biased. I don't care. I had him 7 before the season started. That's more than everybody outside of chuffing S6 has had him. And it's not a biased thing. I absolutely hate the Tossers, but I'm saying that I think they'll be just missing our top players with a squad that's nowhere near good enough. They're performing so much higher than they should be in relative to the squad level. And I think January could be quite a tough month for him. There's already been a disconnect between Chansiri, the owner, and Rolt manager, which were always going to happen. You could maybe see one of the best players going, because they've not got many. You could maybe see Charles at middle being recalled to Southampton because they're doing that shit and he's a very good player. But I just think this is an absolute blinding season based on where this should be, you could say. Coventry, I think it's almost exact opposite. I mean, the 16th at minute, and where have I got him? 9th. So I have got him to pick up 8 points on Bristol City, who are currently in 9th, or Watford even, that are currently in 9th on the same points. So I've got him to pick up 8 points off of that. I do think they'll do it, to be fair. And this is still a really crap season, in fairness, that they're going to miss out on playoffs with the squad that they've got, the money that they've spent. But Lampard, at least, is getting his better players on pitch. The recent form's been crap, in fairness. They've only won 1 out of the last 4. They've got 2 losses in the last 5 and 2 draws as well. But at least he's playing Mason Clark. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's going to be a time game with Lampard, because I do think he gets shit on a little bit too much, just because he's one of these golden generation managers and all other ones are shit. But I actually quite like him. I think there's potential there, but I do think Cream Rise has done it, and I think the squad and the players that Coventry have got will just sort of pick points up on the Sen. Not to a point again at playoffs, but I don't think they'll be that far off by the time it's done. I've got that wrong, by the way. I have Wednesday to finish 11th and Coventry 10th. It's QPR that I've got to finish 9th. And I've been banging this drum since day it started. They were in such a false position for so long. The performances have been brilliant for majority of the season. I think Sheff United is a very, very good manager. And QPR are going to reap benefits and not just shoot it gun too early, like a lot of clubs would do. It's a frightening place to be. When you're in bottom 3 for so long and it doesn't look like it's changing results-wise, even though your performances have been good, it's so easy to just go, well, get rid of him. We'll bring in like a Gary Rowett, a Neil Warnock. We'll just bring one of them in and just write everything off. QPR, I'm telling you, next season they could be on something serious. Sheff United is a fantastic manager. They're currently in 13th, so they've pulled away from it massively. And the form for like last 10 games must be top half at least. I don't think they'll get it playoffs, but I don't think they'll be a million miles off either. I've got them finishing 9th. We'll go down here now. I've got Hull 17th. Where's the other ones? Portsmouth. No, I haven't. Yeah, I have. Hull 17th. Portsmouth 18th. Stoke 19th. That's where I'm at with that. Hull, I think Sellers has come in and made him much harder to beat. Defensively, they look a lot better. He's getting better started like players like Kamara, who are very talented players, by the way. They've just not hit ground running as of yet. But against Leeds, that might be a turning point for him. You never know in January real and what the owners are going to do, because they've got shitloads of brash, you'd think, from the sales, even though they've spent like a lot on loans and that recently. Sold Philogene and Greaves in summer. That's, what, 40-odd million quid. You never know with these, but they're a lot harder to beat. I do think they will pull away from it a little bit. Pompey are very hot and cold. Quite opposite to Hull, because Hull now look quite content a lot of time results-wise and how they've been playing recently. Portsmouth are either shit hot or hot shit. The one thing that's changed for him, and I said it straight away as soon as he was back, is Colby Bishop coming back and the goals that he offers, because they were scoring nowhere near enough or creating very little when he were out injured for first like 15 games. But since he's come back, they're finding it a bit more, especially at their place. I think it'll be hard to go and beat them there for a lot of sides. And again, I can see them marginally pulling away a little bit. I do think these 3 might get a little bit higher than the other 2 that are going to scrape it, I think. And then finally Stoke, I mean, they're currently 19th, so I've got them dropping 1 no, I haven't. Yeah, I've literally got them finishing 19th. It's exactly where they are at the table at the minute. I think it's easy to say, oh, you'd expect them to do well in January because they've got all this brass, but they're losing so much money all the time that gets written off by people's investments to bet 365 all the time. But a lot of their better players, especially from an attacking point of view, are on loan. Cannon might get recalled, and you never know, he might get sent to Sheff United. They've flirted with him for ages. They've got Kumas on loan. They've got a lot of good loans. It's so easy to just go, poof, gone. So I think they will stay probably where they are. Let's go back to missing outs while we're still here, actually. Oh, I wonder what people think I'm going to say. To be fair, you could probably guess. I'm going West Brom in 8th. Even though they've done really well since Carlos has gone, I just think the lack creativity and goal threat from different areas of pitch. It's very samey a lot of time with how West Brom score the goals. There's obviously going to be interest in like Madger, Tom Fellows. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be serious interest in them players. And I think if the lose says someone like Madger, it could be. They're obviously doing really good. They're still in playoffs at minute. As I'm recording this, they're in 6th. But I've got them dropping to 8th. That's 3 points. You know what I mean? That's it. I do think if they can somehow keep the core of the squad, they could be potentially getting it. If they keep Madger and Fellows and strengthen it, they've been crying out for a serious number 10 for a long time, West Brom, from what I've been watching. And a bit of pace as well. But I could see someone like Fellows leaving. And then my other side to just miss out. It's harsh, but Blackburn, they've been so good all year. I've really liked John Eustace. He's a fantastic manager. I think Birmingham were absolute donkeys for sacking him at first place. And you've seen what he can do with losing one of the best 2 players in the league last season. It was Smodics and Somerville that were comfortably the best 2 players last season. Top goal scorer in the league for a side that finished, 4th, 5th bottom, relegation zone for a lot of year. To lose that and to be in playoffs for a lot of this year so far is seriously good going. And I do think they've invested the money well. I've said this a lot of times. I think the squad as a whole has taken a level from ear to ear. But I think January in this division is just its biggest club wins a lot of the time. And Blackburn have not got the finances, I wouldn't have thought, to compete with realistically there's 6 clubs that I've got finishing above them. Which, let's talk about 2 of them now. I've got Norwich in 6th, which might surprise people. And Middlesbrough in 5th. I do think the top 4 will pull away, which is obvious for who it's going to be. Luton back on title charge. Norwich have I'm so topsy-turvy with these a lot of time. But when these players come back, I think they could put a stupid run together. Do you know what I mean? They've obviously had Borja Sands he's been fine, hasn't he, all year? And they're making a lot of chances for him because Sargent's been out. So a lot of the goal threat is coming from left. He must have most expected goals in division. When Sargent comes back, and Norwich in January in this league, they'll spend some brass, you know they will. And the recent performances have been quite good. They obviously bet Millwall 2-1. They drew 1 apiece at home with QPR. Bet Luton away 1-0. And then they were 1-0 down at home to Coventry for 90 minutes. Ended up winning that game. The character's there. The goals are obviously there. Maybe a little bit of a leaky bum. But I think they could put a stupid run together and get in on the last couple of days. And then Middlesbrough, they've just got serious quality. This is like an absolute given. They've got serious quality in certain positions. Apparently, Finners hasn't been doing that good like last couple of games. But as a whole, give him time. Do you know what I mean? Everybody goes through sticky spells. A lot of Middlesbrough fans are telling me that he's shit again now. Ridiculous. You sound worse than me. They've got some absolutely outrageous players. Middlesbrough. They seriously have. You look at like Finners has it middle. The goal contributions that he's putting up. Ben Doak, Latte Laugh up front. That guy is nuts. And then when he's tired, bring Tommy Conway on, another top half championship striker. Do you know what I mean? The depth that they've got from attacking point of view is nuts. Aiden Hackney in middle. Again, I just think defensively they're lacking. Well, it's not even that bad. The defence is not as good as the 4 teams that are above them. And the 4 teams above them have pulled away for a reason. Which we'll come to after we'll sort of relegation out first, and then we'll go for the top 4 and what's happening there, because I change my mind on that every 5 minutes. Right, so down at bottom. The 2 teams that I've got surviving, in fact, let's just do the obvious first. Plymouth are going down last. The 2 teams that I've got surviving are Derby. Oh, I think we'll finish 20th. Even though they can't buy a win and the crap majority of the time, I do think they've got enough from a defensive point of view to stay up, especially at home. So I've got Derby in 20th. And Oxford staying up. They've won me over again. I thought Oxford were absolute clowns for sacking Des. And long term, I stand by it. I seriously stand by it. But like I said for QPR, you know, not sacking someone that's a very good manager that plays like maybe an attractive brand of football, but can switch it up. If QPR had sacked Sheff United and then gone for like Gary Rowett, I'd have been like, what are you actually doing? Because QPR are a club that's been in this league for a long time now. They've got a lot of brass, you know what I mean? Oxford's point of view, you can understand it a little bit more. They're just desperate to stay in division. Bring in a manager like Gary Rowett who can do that for you. I do think long term it might bite them in ass, Oxford. But for this season, recently they have turned a corner massively. They won 3 out of the last 4 games at the time of me recording this. And it's just what you'd expect from a Gary Rowett team, in it. Gritty, horrible, which is what they needed to be because they were too nicey and easy to play against Oxford when Des were there, especially towards end. But 3-2 at home to Cardiff, 2-0 against Plymouth, 1-0 away at Millwall, and a draw away at Preston. They're beating a lot of the other shit sides around them, which, when it comes to your 6 pointers, which they've got a lot of them less, especially as the season goes on, it's going to be massive. And if they're showing the character that they've got, that they can win them games, that might be a difference between 21st and 22nd. So yeah, I've got Derby and Oxford to stay up, which means I've got Cardiff, and I knew it all along. Sheff United are going down, and now I've got Luton. I've got Luton going down. My champions, before the season started, I've now got relegation. Welcome to the channel. Cardiff, I was actually starting to believe in for a while, to be fair. When they sacked the manager and then had that interim in for a bit, it looked like they were starting to change. They looked a lot harder to beat. But as a whole, the squad is, and has been for a long time, crap. The recruitment is crap. The defence is crap. It's really crap. At the minute, there's 3 teams down at bottom. There's Cardiff, Hull and Portsmouth that are all on 23 points. Hull and Portsmouth have clearly got something going for them. Cardiff, I don't think they've got enough quality in final third to make up for the amount of goals that they are conceding, and that's that. And as for Luton, I thought Coventry were underperforming, but this is a new one. This seriously is a new one. Whatever you might think of Rob Edwards, right? And obviously, I mean, apparently he's getting sacked today. He's not been sacked yet at the time of me recording this. It is 1:30 on the 9th of January. Whatever you might think of him as a manager, the fact is that Luton have got a squad that is top 10 standard easily. Just from their attacking-minded players alone, it is easily top half standard. It is easily top half standard. The defence is a completely different issue because obviously they've had problems with like Tom Lockyer and players going from Premier League last year. But they've brought in Mark McGuinness for £10 million, who is a good defender, but he's not worth £10 million. And then other than that, they're bringing in children. Literally children. It's a good thing thinking for future. But what good is it thinking about future if you go from Premier League to League One in 2 years? And apart from that, let's just state the obvious for a minute. The best player by an absolute mile last year were Barkley. It was never going to play Championship anyway. That is not my problem. They got decent money, I thought, for him for the age and the contract length and stuff like that. I think, and obviously the fact that he wanted to go and the money that had been on it would just complete sense that he were going to leave. But then getting rid of your creative mastermind stood at middle, who almost kept him up, realistically, with the influence that he had, and then replacing that creative, attacking-minded genius with midfielders who have not got an ounce of his ability is ridiculous. And I'm not saying I want you to go and sign a Premier League midfielder, because at the end of the day, regardless of what money you've got, you're Luton in Championship. You're not Sunderland, Leeds, you know what I mean? Regardless of the Premier League that you just had. But the midfielders that they're bringing in, none of them are even close to that standard. None of them are even attacking-minded midfielders, a lot of them. A lot of them are like maybe box-to-box or your defensive sort. I just don't understand the thinking and recruitment side of it from Luton. And my predictions before the season started, obviously, were heavily reliant on what I thought teams were going to do in transfer market. I thought Luton had done a lot better than they have done, and I thought Sheff United had done a hell of a lot worse. The positions that they finished in, how they ended in Premier League, Luton and Sheff United. Sheff United were rock bottom all year. They were crap start to finish. Luton looked like they had a bit of fate in them. They've come down with Luton having a far superior squad, if I'm being honest with you, like much better. You think they're in a financially better place, really, because Sheff United have got Premier League money, but it just goes into their old owners' back pockets all the time. And for Sheff United to have played an absolute blinder in transfer market and Luton to have done what they've done, it's crazy. So you can't blame Rob Edwards for that. I don't think you can blame him for the lack of goals either, to be honest. I do not rate him that highly. I mean, obviously, you can't disregard what he's done with a small side like Luton and getting into the Premier League in first place. And if he is sacked, they need to acknowledge what he has done for them, because even if they go back down to non-league, you can never take away the fact that Luton have been in Premier League and then fans have seen it. But they're creating nothing, which obviously is down to the recruitment as well. They're not scoring enough goals. The players look nowhere near what they were. Even like 2 years ago when they got promoted from Championship in first place, you'd think the Premier League experience would have helped them. You'd think they'd come down and be like, well, this is a piece of piss compared to what I've just played. Chong's nowhere near as good. Adebayo in. A lot of the defence in, even though a lot of the defence has changed. The midfielder's nowhere near as good. I think the only bloke that is pulling his weight is Morris, the captain, and he looks absolutely fuming with some of the lads that he stood next to when I'm watching Luton. Obviously, we are in January, and a lot of this stuff can change. If Morris is to leave, I swear down, I think they might finish last. Because of the money, you never know what they're going to do. Maybe apparently the link with Middlesbrough wingers, I forgot his name. But they need some serious investment and fast, Luton. Otherwise, they're doing a Sunderland. Now, going at top. Leeds, Burnley, Sheff United and Sunderland. There is, at time of recording, a 9-point gap between Sunderland in 4th and Middlesbrough in 5th. This is your top 4. Regardless of what order you want to put it in, this is going to be your top 4 teams. Now, I have chopped and changed with this shit all year. I find it difficult, even now, to order it. Like, I've had this video in, like, drafts for ages, thinking about when to record it and put it out, and I'm recording it now. And I've changed probably 5 times, 6 times a day on where I think these sides are going to finish. Sunderland are obviously being linked to like Champions League, Europa League standard players from abroad that are coming to this country and this club. And that's something that I like disregarded completely, the fact that Sunderland, mate, it's the size of that club in Championship, the pull is ridiculous. And you can say whatever you want about like Sheff United and Burnley, a lot of Premier League years recently. Leeds are easily one of the biggest clubs there as well. But the revenue that Sunderland are pulling in from a fan point of view and the attendances, it's miles bigger than everybody else. And I just think the pull that they've got could sway it a little bit. But at the same time, no. I'm sorry, I can't see past it. I just can't. I've got them in 4th. There's just... And I don't even have that much of a logical explanation for it anymore. I'm just trying to envision me sat here at like end of May and I'm like, well, Sunderland have finished 4th. So, and like I've said for like probably over a year now, I think Sunderland are destined to eventually walk this league. And that might be next year, but I don't think it is this one. Oh, God, let me just check my notes again and where I've actually put sides. I'm struggling even now, sitting here. They've all got such different things going from them. They've got such contrasting attributes all the time. To be fair, I literally chopped and changed on this earlier, but you've got to be real with it. I do think Leeds will win league. When you actually just strip it all back, right, and you think about it logically, Leeds have got best squad. They win more or less every game, especially at home. They win basically every game. The away form, myself included, and everybody says Inter's good, but they've still got the 3rd best away form in league. The only reason Leeds aren't 20 points clear at minute is because there's one thing stopping them from doing it, and that thing is stood in net. Melier is the only reason Leeds haven't won it already. And what's to say that apparently they're willing to listen to offers to him, which I'm not surprised. Leeds go and buy a serious keeper, which they could do. Again, we talk about Sunderland's pull. Leeds aren't shy of a bit of pull, are they, in this division, money that they've got and wages that they're paying. What's to say these don't go and get like a ridiculous keeper and that's it, it's done. The performances, especially recently, even in results where they're not getting the wins, like the 2 draws against like Blackburn and Hull especially, you just can't. I cannot understand how they won't go top 2, at least. As much as I don't want to say it, I do think they'll win league. So that puts me down to Burnley and Sheff United. Oh man, I think it were about 8 games in the summer, and I went completely back on my Sheff United prediction, and then I said that they finished like 10th, and then a couple of weeks after that, I said they win league. So you might get no logic out of me, but you never know what I'm going to say. And I'm not saying stuff for clicks either. I genuinely thought that Sheff United would be an absolute shit show in transfer market in summer and then be plopping down in 18th. I did genuinely think that. But now, Sheff United are very, very good at grinding results out. I think Chris Wilder is a perfect fit for club. The new owners, nobody's given time yet, so we never know what they're going to do. They might go and chuck shitloads of money into this window, so we don't know. I think they've got a certain player in that team that Burnley haven't got, which is someone that can just make something happen from absolutely nothing at any given moment, and that is Eyup. I do think that he is one of, if not the best player in this league. Burnley have not got anything like that, and I've always said the Sheff United squad depth ain't good enough, which it ain't. But you never know with them in loan market, which now that Suter's gone back, there's a lot of room to do stuff with here. In fact, Saki might be going back. Do you know what I mean? I just worry about the squad depth for Sheff United. And there's certain trends that you just can't ignore. Like Leeds obviously being fantastic at home, dominating more or less every game. There's certain trends with Burnley that you just cannot see past. And the fact that they've conceded 9 goals in 26 games is ridiculous. The fact that they've played all 3 of these sides so far, Leeds, Sheff United and Sunderland, away, and they've got all 3 of them to play at home still, later in season, I think is another big factor that could play its part. The fact that they bet Sheff United 2-0 away, the fact that they bet Leeds 1-0 away, and that's the only home game that Leeds have lost all season. Burnley lost 2 games the entire year. One's away at Millwall and a 1-0 loss, and the other one is the 3rd game at season when they lost 1-0 away at Sunderland. Ooh, I might change my mind on this by the time it's even posted. I'm going Burnley 2nd and I'm going Sheff United 3rd in playoffs. I just think the squad depth is something that I can't see past. And that's that. That's where I'm at. So I've got Plymouth, Cardiff and Luton to go down. My playoffs is Sheff United versus Norwich and Sunderland versus Middlesbrough. That'd be a laugh. And then I've got Burnley 2nd to Leeds winning league. And obviously Bristol City in 12th. But that has been a pleasure. I'm genuinely stressed out just recording this because I might change my mind editing it and then posting it. I might have completely changed my mind again. But yeah, this is where I'm at. I love you all. Thank you very much for making this my job. Oh man, you just get ready for these League One ones, baby. See you in a bit. Bye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.